different calls across the board with a lot of devotees who do book distribution. And he shares some details of what book distribution is all about, why we are doing book distribution. And then what we'll do is we'll cover some slides. There are a lot of slides actually. I mean, I have content that can cover for like 2-3 hours, but we'll cut it down a little bit. And I've discussed with Ramcharya Prabhu, who's to maybe even do in person at some point. So that way we can all meet as well. It will be great if you all can open your cameras as well so that I can see you. And as I'm really thankful to Ramcharya Prabhu's to invite me and this book distribution discussion. And he's one of those temple presidents who's very much about book distribution because that is a very dear service to Srila Prabhupada. And that's why I really enjoy talking to him and working with him on this effort. So I'll start with just quick prayers and then we'll start. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyate Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Okay, I'll share my screen now.
Yes, Prabhu, we can see it.
You can see. Okay, for some reason I cannot see you all. Hold on, let me see what's going on here. Okay, maybe this side I can bring you all here. Okay, so like I said, we'll cover a few slides and then after that, we'll talk about some strategies of how to do book distribution, especially for Bhagavad Gita, because we are in a Live to Give campaign and we'll talk about that. But before we begin, I want to discuss our legacy. What is our legacy? And what is our sampradaya, right? So we all know Advaita Acharya, Srila Advaita Acharya, he prayed really hard to his Shaligram Srila and he called out the Supreme Lord to come because there's a lot of problems going on in this world and he wanted to deliver the devotees. So he called out for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come. So what he did was he prayed really hard. And then Mahaprabhu appeared on the request of Advaita Acharya. And I'm going to go over these slides very quickly. Usually we spend, his case, Vaisheshika Maharaj, he spends hours discussing these topics, but it's important to take away exactly what our sampradaya is and why we do book distribution and why we are all here on this call. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, what are the two things that he asked us to do? He asked everyone to do. What are those two things? You can all mute and say that too. The first one was chant Hare Krishna. And the second one was teach it to others. First is chant Hare Krishna. And the second is teach it to others. So that is a sampradaya. Then what he did was he opened the marketplace of the holy name. He invited everyone to chant the holy name. Everyone from any background, no matter what, doesn't matter where they come from, what language they speak, everyone should be chanting the holy name. Every town and village. That is our goal. Our goal is to spread the holy name, spread Srila Prabhupada's books in every town and village all around the world. And I think we can see that it's happening. But right after that, the movement becomes hidden. It goes behind closed doors, right after the disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But then Bhakti Vinod Thakur revived that movement and he reopened the marketplace in 1891. And at Surabhi Kunj, the marketplace of the holy name is open again. What was the Bhakti Vinod Thakur's prediction? That a ray of Vishnu, a personality will soon appear who will spread this movement forward. We know about Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, who was chanting the pure holy name. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he came and marketplace swells. What did Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur did? What was special about him related to book distribution that he did? Anyone can unmute and say that. I just want to make sure it becomes more interactive. Can anyone say what exactly Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur did related to book distribution? Anyone?
Print the books.
Yes, he printed the books. What specific thing? He bought something from America. I'm giving you a hint.
Printing.
Printing.
Yes, he bought a printing press from Cleveland, Ohio. That's where he bought the printing press from. And he called it what? What did he call that printing press? Anyone knows? Yes, yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. He called it Brihat Mridanga. And it means big Mridanga. That means whatever comes out is books are coming out. Those books can go out all around the world. When we do kirtan in our home, we do kirtan 4 or 5 devotees, or we do kirtan in the temple. Only the devotees in the temple can hear, right? But when you play Brihad Mridanga, it's a big Mridanga. It can go all around the world. And that is what he did, was he brought this machine from Cleveland, Ohio to print books. And when Srila Prabhupada first time met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the first instruction given to him was in 1922. And the first instruction was, if you ever get money, print books. And Srila Prabhupada says, I took up this from his mouth that he is very fond of books. And the marketplace spreads all over the world. When does it happen? When Srila Prabhupada comes to America. When he comes to America, he's spreading the holy name, he's spreading the books, he's spreading our movement all around the world. This is the first ad he created, Srimad Bhagavatam. So the thing that he carried in his suitcase was first 3 volumes of Canto 1. First 3 volumes. Now you notice something on this particular flyer. What you see is 60 volumes of elaborate English version. Did Srila Prabhupada had 60 volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam at that time? No, right?
No, no.
He only had 3 volumes of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But what was he doing? He was advertising as 60 volumes because he's going to write those 60 volumes. So what is Srila Prabhupada doing? Srila Prabhupada is thinking ahead. He was a visionary. He was thinking ahead that eventually I'll have 60 volumes. So when I'm going to sell Srimad Bhagavatam, I'm going to give it to the Westerners. I don't want to say I have 3 volumes. I want to say I have 60 volumes. Right? And when he went to the libraries, when he came in 1965, he went to the libraries selling Srimad Bhagavatam. He did standing orders. He said, you take one set of Srimad Bhagavatam, and then I will come again and come again to give you more and more sets. It was not like one time and it's done. So that's like a vision of Srila Prabhupada. So what was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's plan? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's plan was to everyone to be immersed in this inundation of love of Godhead. That was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's plan, that everyone should get love of Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada's plan, what was Srila Prabhupada's plan? By printing books, we can actually inject our movement into the masses of people all around the world. So how to get that love of Godhead is by injecting this movement. And how to inject that movement is through the power of books. And his Prabhupada said, I like this idea of distributing books and preaching. That is Lord Chaitanya's plan. So Lord Chaitanya's plan, which was to inundate the whole world with the love of God, is the same plan as preaching. It's about distributing books. And that is exactly what the Lord Chaitanya's plan is. The same plan. Okay, let's play a game. I'm going to ask you a question, and you have to answer that question for me. You can unmute and answer that question. Okay, first question. What is Lord Brahma holding in his hand in this picture? Please unmute and say.
Vedas.
Vedas.
Brahma Samhita prayers.
Yes, you're right. He's holding a book in his hand, right? Okay. What is Srila Vyasadeva writing on in this picture?
On a book again.
Book
Scriptures.
again. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a book again. Okay, what is in front of Srila Madhvacharya in this picture? Or what is he's holding in his hand?
Book again. Patras.
Written books.
Book again. Yes, right answer. Okay, that's Srila Rupa Goswami. What he has in front of him and what he has done all his life, following the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Writing the books.
Writing books. Yes, perfect. Okay, this is Srila Sanatan Goswami. What is he doing right now?
Same, writing the books.
Writing the books. These are our 6 Goswamis. What contribution they have made throughout their life for us, for all of us.
I wrote a lot of books.
They wrote a lot of books. This is Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, right? What is he posing with in the picture?
Books.
Yes. Who is this? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In this picture, what does he have in the back of this picture?
Books.
Books, yes. Right answer. And this is our Srila Prabhupada. What does he have in this picture?
Books.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So what are we? We are a sampradaya of books, right? Books are the basis, Srila Prabhupada said. All the acharyas focused on books. Starting Lord Brahma got his knowledge from Krishna directly. Yes, you can say there was no physical books, but they were all the Vedas that he received from Krishna. And that sampradaya is passing down all the way to Srila Prabhupada. And what is after Srila Prabhupada? All of us, right? We have to follow our sampradaya. Our sampradaya is about books. And books really can change the world. This is a book called Common Sense, which was a very popular book at that time. It created a revolution. Then there is this book of Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. We don't believe in this book, but this book became really popular and really changed the world. So this is I wanted to show you the printing press. This is the printing press that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur got from Cleveland, Ohio. So books are like the containers, right? They're like the idea seeds. We plant those seeds. They say Bhagavad Gita is like a time bomb. Have you heard of this statement that Bhagavad Gita is like a time bomb? So wherever we can plant Bhagavad Gita, wherever we give Bhagavad Gita, then it can blow up at any time. That means anyone can take this knowledge at any point and can transform their lives. So let's talk about the 4 laws of book distribution. Who on the call has already heard about the 4 laws of the book distribution? Anyone has heard the 4 laws of book distribution?
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhu. Yeah, many of us would have, I think so, who have
These are
taken
the
the
4
courses.
laws. These are the 4 laws that we should always meditate on. These are the most important laws of book distribution. If we follow these laws of book distribution, we can do a lot of books. And the first law of book distribution is very, very important, the most important, which is our sadhana must be strong. If we are doing our sadhana really well, again, I'm following the acharyas on giving you the knowledge that they have given us across the board, right? When His Grace Meshashaka Maharaj talks about this, he mentions about how important our sadhana is for book distribution. I know book distribution can be considered as something like a sales job, right? You go in, you make a sale, you're selling the book, and then you're coming back and saying, okay, I did 20 books today, and it's a sale. But it can become much more meaningful to us if we consider that book distribution is not different than our sadhana. It is one of the highest sadhana for us. It is one of the highest service for us. As Prabhu mentioned at the start of the call, it's very dear to Srila Prabhupada. Right? So strict, serious, and sincere sadhana is one of the laws of book distribution. And once we have the taste, and once we are really absorbed in our sadhana, then we can distribute the overflow. So what does overflow means? If we are chanting sincerely, if we are performing our sadhana sincerely, then we can actually, whatever is inside of us, we can share with others. So when we go out on the street and we are doing our sadhana sincerely, then whatever we are sharing it from our heart. Then you don't need a script. You need a script to begin with, but once you are into this, once you are into Srila Prabhupada's books, you're reading regularly, you're following the sadhana, then automatically it becomes easier to share our heart with other people outside because we know we are doing this for their benefit. So one of the recommendations that His Grace Shashaka Maharaj gives is to read chapter a day. And this is one of the recommendations I want to give to all the leaders, Sankirtan leaders and temple presidents, is to create a group. I think you already have one where you can read Bhagavad Gita every day, at least for the Live to Give campaign. I mean, it's recommended to read every day throughout the year, but it will be very special if we can create a forum where we can come together and read a chapter a day, which is really the translations and the Sanskrit, every day for one chapter from now till January 7th. And this is a quote by Srila Prabhupada. He says, please encourage others to read this Bhagavad Gita, at least one chapter every day. So Srila Prabhupada recommended us to read one chapter every day. This is a website you can all go to. I think most of you devotees will be familiar with this, which is readchat.com. And in that website, you can follow along and they read one chapter every day. They post right now, they post chapter 8 till January 16th. They're recommending to read chapter 8. So you can read all the Sanskrit and translation of chapter 8. And I see that any day, I try to do this every day, but there are days I'm not able to do it. But the days I'm able to read Bhagavad Gita on a daily basis, it really helps me personally. There's an app called Be a Sage page by page where you can read, you can get all the books, all Srila Prabhupada's books, and you can figure out if you want to read Srimad Bhagavatam, for example, in a year, then you should be reading 41 pages a day to cover Srimad Bhagavatam. It can also help with the Kartik Vrata if you want to finish one canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So you can figure out how many pages are there and how many pages total are there and how many pages you can complete in one day to finish cantos. Same thing with Bhagavad Gita. If you want to finish Bhagavad Gita in 6 months, I think there are about only 5 pages that you have to read. So you can find this app. It's free on iOS and Android to download. Okay, the second law of book distribution is you must get books. So let me ask you a question. Based on the goal that we decided on for Bhagavad Gita, for Live to Give campaign, have you placed the order for books from BBT? We have to plan ahead. The thing is, when I used to go out for book distribution and like in festivals, and we have a bunch set of books. We have Bhagavad Gita there, we have Science of Self-Realization, we have Journey of Self-Discovery, we have Higher Taste, we have all these books. But let's suppose I don't have Srimad Bhagavatam. Do you think I can sell Srimad Bhagavatam? I can distribute Srimad Bhagavatam if I don't have it? No. So the key is we need to get books. You can't distribute books that you don't have, right? So we have to get books. especially with BBT, we have to plan ahead. With every campaign, we define exactly what our goal is, and then we figure out how many books we will need to achieve that goal. And we always try to go a little bit higher than that and place an order to BBT and get those books. Just last week, I was hearing from ISKCON Silicon Valley, they already ordered thousands and thousands of Bhagavad Gitas. It's in their temple room. Temple room is filled with Bhagavad Gitas. Their garage, they have a tent outside in their parking lot that is filled with all Bhagavad Gitas. So they're already planning ahead of how many Bhagavad Gitas they'll need between now and January 7th. So we can learn from them. And there's always so much pleasure we can get when we see these boxes come in, these pallets of boxes coming in for Bhagavad Gita or other books. We can get them in all languages. We can plan ahead. We can use language cards that's available on distributebooks.com to talk to people from the other countries or other language speaking people. Okay, the third law of book distribution is the more you show, the more you sell. So you see, this is a picture of someone selling Arabic Bhagavad Gita. If we don't have Arabic Bhagavad Gita, I have been to places where when we are distributing books, I meet people who are Arabic, but I don't have a Bhagavad Gita of Arabic. And then I realized, yes, this law of book distribution, the more you show, the more you sell. So we have to plan of, okay, if we are going in a certain area and we see there are more Arabic people or we see more Spanish people in that area, then we make sure we have Spanish Bhagavad Gitas, we have Arabic Bhagavad Gitas, so that we can show them in addition to English as well. So we have to show, we have to display these books, and the more we display, the more we show. I'll give you an example of Srimad Bhagavatam. So there was one heritage festival that we used to go to in Virginia every year. And we would stack Srimad Bhagavatam like this. There are 18 books, so we would stack one up on top of each other. And we would place like a throne at the top. And anyone who was passing by would look at that and say, what is this? I've never seen a tower of books like that. What are these books? And that made people interested. So we need to figure out some creative ways when we have a table to show books and how we show books, right? There are racks you can buy which shows them like this. And you can check out how ISKCON New Vrindavan, in the temple room, they have a beautiful bookcase. And Ramacharya Prabhu, you have seen that, right? It's beautiful. And I'll tell you what, my first Bhagavad Gita was from ISKCON New Vrindavan, from their bookcase. Now they have even beautiful one. That was many, many years back. But now they have a beautiful bookcase. What are they doing? They're showing books in a very beautiful way so that it attracts people to those books and then they can buy. So the more we're showing, the more we are displaying the books, the more we will be able to sell. So we are knocking doors, right? You all are knocking doors, and we are knocking doors and we are asking questions, and we'll cover the script of what we can talk about for Bhagavad Gita. So you can see this is one of those tables where the books are being shown here. And the last law of book distribution is we must organize. We have to plan. We have to organize. Organize meaning understanding what we need to do, what our goals are. So the seventh purpose of ISKCON is with a view towards achieving aforementioned purposes to publish and distribute periodicals, magazine, books, and other writings. So it is the purpose. We have to create an event calendar. So some of the temples are they're figuring out what are the different events between now and January 7th. And what are those events? What kind of people come to those events? And what kind of books we can distribute there, right? So one person can be assigned just to do that, just to do a Google search and figure out all the events in the area, or the people that we know, or the people who are coming to the temple, maybe not regularly, but they are associated with the temple, but they are part of different organizations, and they have some events going on, and participating on those events, and building a calendar and organizing when we are going there, how many devotees are going to go there, what kind of books we need for that, do we have that in stock or not? I think these are the things are very important for organization. I highly recommend devotees to read Family Business, which is by His Grace Vaisheshika Maharaj, explaining exactly what are the things we need to actually organize our book distribution. One of the things we can do is we can set the improvements that we need in our organization every month. It's hard to go from level 1 all the way to level 10. But what we can do is we can define exactly maybe 1 or 2 goals each month or every other month that we should accomplish. Like, for example, one improvement we can make is, where are our books placed in the temple? Is that organized the right way? So maybe the goal for this month is just to make sure we organize that. The second month, the goal can be just to make sure we have the right inventory. Is someone assigned to create a right inventory of our books and keeping that in a Google sheet or something and maintaining that? The third can be what I just mentioned, which is creating an event calendar, or what are the different events we can go. So things like that, you can brainstorm and discuss and highlight 1 or 2 things we can do every month to improve on our book distribution. And as we are organizing more and more, you can see it will have a direct impact on the books that are going out. Another very important thing is setting goals. We all say if the goals are there, only then we can measure them. Otherwise, we cannot. Yes, we don't want to get into the number game. This movement is not about numbers. It's about quality, yes. But at the same time, if there is no goal, then we don't know what we are going after. So we have to set a goal. So that's why I described goals are very important. Once we set the goal, then we are marching towards that goal. So we should set goals. We should manage inventory and finances. And we should build a follow-up strategy. When we are meeting people on the streets, when we are knocking the doors, what is the follow-up strategy? Can we introduce them to a group? Can we bring them to this Thursday call? Can we bring them to the temple? Can we bring them to a sangha that you can create just for new people on Zoom? Or it can be in the temple where they come every Tuesday, every Wednesday, and you do like a meditation session for them. It's very important that once we give the book to someone and they're local, they have some place to go to, or they have some program that they can join. So that strategy needs to be developed before we go out for book distribution. And very important is to build a team spirit. A lot of time, book distribution can become an individual game. Prabhu, I did 10 books. Prabhu, I did 100 books. Yes, individually, we all have to do books. But at the same time, it's a collective goal. It's a collective goal for St. Louis, how many books they want to do. We all have to contribute towards a collective goal, right? So it's important that there has to be a competition. Yes, there is spiritual competition out there. We can have spiritual competition. It's important. But at the end of the day, what we're doing is doing it as a team, helping each other grow in book distribution, reaching out to more and more people, and doing more and more books, Srila Prabhupada's books. So what gets measured gets improved. We should analyze and report scores. This is another important, not only in the beginning, what we are doing is we are organizing ourselves to go out. And then once we have gone out, we have a proper system of reporting our scores or analyzing our scores. A lot of temples use Google Sheets, and also they have built their own apps also. I think there is an app that is being tested at this point to report scores. So I'll be able to share that once we have more information on that. But till that point, one person can be assigned just to be able to take the scores coming in a WhatsApp group, putting into a Google Sheet and maintaining that sheet. And then also another important aspect is to be able to show the scores to the whole community of all the books that have been going out on a regular basis. It helps motivate others. It helps see that how Srila Prabhupada's books are spreading, and so many people are interested in these books. So what I did was, this is just a beginning. These are the slides I want to show. There's many other slides in this. But before I go to that, we just ended the Bhadra campaign, right? And Bhadra campaign ended actually last month, September 17th is when Bhadra campaign ended. From September 18th to January 7th, we have Live to Give campaign. And Live to Give campaign is also called Srila Prabhupada Marathon. It's also called Christmas Marathon. But we have between September 18th and January 7th to distribute as many Bhagavad Gitas as we can. The goal for distribution of Bhagavad Gitas all around the world is 4.2 million. 4.2 million Bhagavad Gitas is the goal for all of ISKCON all around the world. The major share of these books come from India. That's true. But North America is the second highest scorer in distributing Bhagavad Gitas all around in US. I mean, obviously India is big and it's Bhagavad Gita is already very popular there. But so in 4.2 million, we should think of, okay, what is our goal, right? What is our contribution to that 4.2 million, right? So that is important. So one of the aspects of organization is to understand what is our area, where we are right now, what are the different neighborhoods in. This is just one example. I know, I mean, there's much more to this, but this is just one example to organize. This is just one example of understanding what kind of landscape we have, where are we going for book distribution, what events we are tackling. So I just looked at the St. Louis City map, for example, and neighborhoods. There are about 79 neighborhoods in St. Louis City, right? There are about 143,000 households. That's a 2022 number. There are about 6 or 7 Walmarts near the temple. There are many Indian stores. I saw some events coming up, like Diwali is coming up. So obviously there will be many Diwali festivals in the area. And that's our target, right? This is how we need to build our target of where do we have to go and how we can approach people at these events, at these stores, and what door to door we have to do. Like you can select. I know some areas may be better than others, so you can be very selective on figuring out what neighborhoods we should go and do door knocks, like do door to door, and which events we can do. So we can plan our kind of goal and our overall landscape of what we need to tackle between now and January 6th. I mean, obviously the book distribution continues throughout the year. We are still doing books. We are still doing Bhagavad Gita anytime throughout the year. But at this time, it's very much focused on Bhagavad Gita so that more and more Bhagavad Gitas can go out. And it's easy to talk to people and say, we have a goal of spreading 4.2 million Bhagavad Gitas all around the world. And there are people out there who are ready to help us in spreading this knowledge all around the world. So I want to stop here. And before we go and discuss about the next thing I want to talk about is really the script of how we should talk to Indians versus how we should talk to non-Indians for Bhagavad Gita. And there is a script for that I can share. And also we'll share some examples of what I have seen in my book distribution in talking to Indian people and then talking to the Western people and what strategies we can use, and also discuss some any questions that you may have. But I want to pause here right now and see if anyone has any questions or comments. I was a big fan of Zoom when COVID happened, but slowly my interest in Zoom is going down because I cannot see everyone. It's the interaction is not there that much. But please, if someone has any questions, we can take a couple of questions right now, and then we go to the script because we only have an hour. So I'm covering a lot in an hour. But I'll pause here and see if anyone has any questions. I'll stop sharing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So if anybody has anything they would like to ask, this is the time. You wanna respect the time.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I just have one quick clarification thing. Uh, is whether door-to-door book distribution technique is also part of your uh, like you will be covering up how to address the Western audiences
Yes,
versus
Prabhu.
Indian audiences. So, is there any tips and techniques for door-to-doors? Because in especially in the West, accessing the premise is sometimes probably be challenging. Like we're accessing the direct premise to the people and just giving the book. If there's anything that you can provide some insight on that as well.
Sure, Prabhu. And the strategy that I'm going to share with you, it applies to either door to door or you meet someone on the street. Now, I do see that door to door can be a little bit challenging, but it's very rewarding at the end of the day because you're really approaching people in their homes. They're more comfortable there to talk to. Yeah, I see some communities now, they're putting a sign, no solicitation, and also sometimes it's difficult, they're locked. But there are also many communities where we can still go and do door to door. So yes, there will be some communities which will be very difficult, but let's target those where we can go and actually do door to door distribution. But I'll share the strategy that applies to both, actually.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for the question.
Prabhu, I have one question.
Yes, Mataji.
Wondering like what was your first goal? And since we are uh, in the beginning stages of book distribution, what should be our goal? What can be our goal? Some ideas and tips out there would be helpful.
That's a very good question, Mataji. How do you start, right? And it can be daunting initially and say, okay, I cannot do that many books. What we have to do initially is just go out, just be part of the team. And book distribution is not just about distributing books. It's about having prasadam ready, like I mentioned, scoring, inventory. There's so many other things we can do behind the scenes to be able to help the book distribution team. So we can definitely take on some of those services. And at the same time, we can be just part of the team to just go out. As Vaisheshika Maharaj says, that you just hit the pavement. You just make sure you go out. Because at the end of the day, that is the biggest thing. The results is not in our hands, right? We are all students of Bhagavad Gita. We all understand that the results are not in our hands. What is in our hands is to take that effort of going out. Then it's up to Krishna and it's up to Srila Prabhupada to decide which soul should get a book from us. So initially, all we can do is just plan to be part of the team and just go out. And as we get more and more comfortable, then we can start to distribute the books and we can hold the books. You know, in Vrindavan, there are Russian Vaishnavis. They are distributing books by just holding the book like this. They have Bhagavad Gita. They're holding the book. They're not saying a single word. They're holding the book like this. There are people coming and saying, okay, I'll take this book. So it's all Krishna's plan. Like he's going to decide who should get the book. But the fact that someone is standing there is our free will, is our effort. And that's what counts about is this person, so and so person took the effort and went out. Does that help, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, very beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else has any question?
I have one
All right.
more. So,
Yes.
so as a goal, like setting up a goal, right? You said we, as a temple, we should have a goal that we are going to distribute this many so that we can put our efforts in that direction. So my question is more like, I don't know if you were being part of the setting up goal. How much was your first goal, like your temple goal?
It all depends on our capacity, or it depends on how many devotees are going out. Also, I usually base it on what was the last year number. And then you try to go by that, maybe do 10% or 20% increase from that number. So history tells us what we did, and then you can do 20%. Now, as you're building more capacity, as more ideas are coming, it's very important, like, for example, to do like a brainstorming session between the teams. Because a lot of times we just go out and distribute books and continue to on that path, but we don't pause and think about what can we do better, right? It's always better service, right? And anything we do, we can do things better. But to do things better, we have to introspect. And I think when all of you come together on a call and you discuss ideas, new ways of book distribution will come out. And then automatically you'll see more scores. And then next year you can do even more. So there are ways to do that, but I would base it initially on the previous goal or the previous score, and then add 20% to it.
Thank you, Prabhu. That really helps.
Thank you, Mata.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, can you able to share any your experiences, Prabhu? Any sometimes it's too tough. I mean, tough discussions might go. Sometimes it's easy, as you mentioned. It's not in our hand, but sometimes we'll feel like distribution is scary. So, can you share some experiences?
Yes. And one of the strategies I want to talk to you about is distribution. Actually, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj once, he put a book table in Bombay. This was in 1970s during Srila Prabhupada time. And he put a book table there, book table in Bombay. And then it was like an event. And he did that for like 3-4 days. And then after coming back from that event, he was not very satisfied with the number of books that went out. Then he went to Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, we didn't do that many books. And Srila Prabhupada said, my books are sold based on the enthusiasm of my devotees, disciples, right? So the enthusiasm is needed to distribute the books. That was Srila Prabhupada's point. The thing is, when we are giving out books, first we need to read those books ourselves. That is the most important thing. Like the first law of book distribution is to keep our sadhana strong. If our sadhana is strong and we are reading Srila Prabhupada's books, then all you have to do is pick 1 or 2 things that you really love about, for example, Bhagavad Gita. Pick a verse. If that one verse you love so much and you can explain, all you have to do is talk about that. And that too, sometimes too much philosophy is not really needed to give Bhagavad Gita. We have to, and I'll talk about the script that we can use. If we follow that, then a lot of times we don't have to get into too much detail. But if it does get into the detail, you talk about what you are most comfortable with. Don't worry about if someone else can quote 20 verses, someone can quote 50 verses. That doesn't matter. But if your heart is with one verse or one statement by Srila Prabhupada, or any one thing that is in Bhagavad Gita, talk about that from your heart, then you'll be able to touch the heart of the other person that you're meeting. And a lot of times I have gone out book distribution, and every time the script changes, it evolves into the kind of person I'm meeting with, the kind of person I'm talking to. If I meet an intellectual person, I'm having more deeper discussion. If I see someone who's not so much intellectual or who's not interested in talking much, but I think he can take the book, I don't get into the details. I just talk about the basics and say, okay, you are from so-and-so university, you're studying this, or you've studied, or you're a big kind of person, you have done a lot of studies. Okay, this book has been used in a lot of universities now. It's becoming the go-to book for getting relief from stress. Now, that you may not find in any script. any statement that you're making, but it will come from your heart. So the more we see others, the more we read ourselves, the more we keep our sadhana strong, then we'll be able to approach people. And yes, it can be scary initially. We should start small. And I think keeping one book and just deciding what I'm going to talk about in that book that touches my heart, then that should be the starting point for all of us if we are starting into book distribution. But I think once you start to give out more and more books, you'll see that your energy levels will go higher and higher, and then you'll be able to do more. But again, the idea is not to do more. Like, results are again not in our hands. What is in our hands is to do the effort, sincere effort, and a sincere desire to do books. And that exactly what is Krishna looking for is just the desire. And then the numbers are in his hands.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay,
Thank you, Prabhu.
thank you,
Prabhu, I
Madhuri.
have one more question. Just
Yes.
like suppose, yeah, as we need to prepare well, but do we have any common questions and some answers like that? Any knowledge base, Prabhu? Normally, what people ask and these things.
We don't have any knowledge base as such, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. You can post it on the group, on our WhatsApp group. Prabhu added me to that group, so I'm happy to answer those questions for you. But there's no knowledge base. It would be good to actually have one knowledge base, but not at this point, Madhuri. We don't have anything.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Because normally you guys are all do lot of distributions and common questions maker because that will give the confidence for the beginners, right? Okay, I don't
Yeah.
know much, but if I ask just maybe as you said, those are starting steps. If those, thank you, Prabhu. Correction.
I'll share with you a script now, and that can help. And it really works out in the street or door to door, and that you can use. And again, you can create your own variations of this script once you get really good at it. So the first thing I want to share with you is how to speak to Indians, right, about Bhagavad Gita. So I have a Bhagavad Gita here. Again, there are two ways I'll share. One is what Vaisheshika Maharaj has shared, and that method really works. Anywhere you go, you use that method and it works. And I'll give you an example also. But let me share with you what it is. So with Indians, just don't hand them the book right away. Don't just say, here's Bhagavad Gita, we're selling Bhagavad Gita, or we're distributing Bhagavad Gita, and here's the book. Don't ever do that. Don't ever give them Bhagavad Gita right away. Because generally what you see is with Indians, they would tell you that I already have this book. My mother had this book. They have read it. My grandmother has read it. My whole family has read it. My son can speak 5 slokas to you right now, right? That's what they'll say. And so the first thing we need to do is to say, you and I, we already know about this Bhagavad Gita, right? We are already familiar with this Bhagavad Gita. There's nothing, as you know better than I, is what Vaisheshika Maharaj says. As you know better than I, as you know better than I, that this Bhagavad Gita is very popular. It's very famous, right? What are we really trying to do is we are spreading this knowledge all around the world. We are giving Bhagavad Gita in different languages, in German, French, right? In different Indian languages. We are spreading this knowledge, Chinese, all around the world, we are spreading Bhagavad Gita. That is our purpose. And what are we doing here? Today, we are here to do fundraising. We are here to raise funds so that we can spread this knowledge all around the world. You can even tell them your goal. You say, our goal is to spread 4.2 million Bhagavad Gitas this year, especially for Gita Jayanti. You can also talk about the Gita Jayanti. But the idea is you're not giving them the book yet. You're just saying, I'm doing fundraising. And most of the time, Indians will be very open to give you some donation for spreading Bhagavad Gitas. And when they give you some funds, at that point, you hand them the book and say, here's a Bhagavad Gita for you. And then you can hand them the prasadam. So that's one method, which is when you talk to them, don't give them the book. You say, we both know this Bhagavad Gita is very popular. We know this Bhagavad Gita is very famous. We know that all Indian families already have Bhagavad Gita. You may already have Bhagavad Gita in your home. You may have already kept it in your temple or in your altar. You're already reading Bhagavad Gita. Your mother is reading Bhagavad Gita. Everyone is reading Bhagavad Gita in your home. We already know this, but we just want help to spread this knowledge all around the world. And we are raising funds. And they'll be happily be able to give you some funds, sponsor. Once they do that, you can hand them a Bhagavad Gita. Any questions on that? That's one method. Before we go to questions, I'll show you the second way of doing this. Is sometimes, okay, if you do want to give them a Gita, then a lot of times they would say, especially during holidays, like when you're doing Bhagavad Gita, this method really works, which is when you're talking about Bhagavad Gita, they will again say, oh, I already have it. I already have it in my temple room, or my mom have it in India or whatnot, right? Then you say, okay, take this Bhagavad Gita as a gift. When you are during these holiday season, when you're giving a gift, give everyone a gift of Bhagavad Gita. And this gift of Bhagavad Gita you can give if you're giving someone chocolates, for example, right? With the pack of chocolates, why don't you give Bhagavad Gita? And people from India who are especially very pious, who understand the value of Bhagavad Gita, will be happily be able to take this Bhagavad Gita and say, yes, I will be able to give it as a gift. And you can talk about, we are spreading this knowledge all around the world. Our purpose is to have more and more Indian families to have access to Bhagavad Gita. Not only that, we want to make sure all other people can read this Bhagavad Gita, because it's not a religious book, it's a spiritual book. So please explain this, help us spread this knowledge. This knowledge is going away. Not many people are reading books nowadays. Most of the people are glued to the TV. They're watching all these nonsense things. Why can't you help us spread this knowledge? All you have to do is take this one Bhagavad Gita and give it as a gift, if you already have it. And then usually you'll see them open up and say, oh, yeah, maybe I'll gift it, but I also think I may use it for my daughter, may use it for my son. And a lot of times they will take this Bhagavad Gita because you can say, this is one of the best Bhagavad Gitas that you can read. This is one of those Gitas that you'll read. I remember personally, the first Bhagavad Gita I got, I was very curious to read Bhagavad Gita. And I asked my mother in India and said, can you get me a Bhagavad Gita? The Bhagavad Gita she got me, I still have it, has all Sanskrit verses, and that's it. There's nothing else in it. So I couldn't read, I couldn't understand. And so when I meet with people on the streets or door to door, it connects with with my story, and say, look, the first time I got my Bhagavad Gita, I couldn't read, but this is the first Bhagavad Gita that when I looked at it, I said, this is something I can read, because every verse is explained really clearly. And I can understand this. It's in English. So it's a very personal story for me. There can be a personal story for you in how you got your first Bhagavad Gita, or how Bhagavad Gita inspired you. You can share that story, because then you don't need a script for that. It's already in your heart. You're sharing your heart. And when you're sharing that from your heart, then it really connects with that other person. So these are kind of the two ways of doing Bhagavad Gita distribution to Indians. Now, Prabhu, can we go 5 more minutes or 10 minutes, or we have to end?
Yes, so we can take few more minutes, and then I'm
Prabhu,
sure there'll be more sessions. So we
Yes.
can start and we can have follow-up sessions as well, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Is it okay? A quick question? Or
Yes, Manta.
okay. Since everything now becomes a digital world, sometimes even when you talk to the devotees who have come for few months and something like that, they can say easily, like, is there anything online available? And that is one thing that I want to ask you, how to address that. And also, since we are talking about Bhagavad Gita, but with the Bhagavatam sets and the thing what we come across is the space and then the money. So all this is also a part of need to like address when we are distributing that. So not today, but anytime in our seminar, you can address these questions, Prabhu. Thank you.
Sure, Mataji. We'll talk about Bhagavatam and distribution as well. What I'll do is I'll finish with this script for Western people, and then like Prabhu said, we can have more calls, more discussion. I'm happy to answer questions on the WhatsApp group or privately as well. And I just want to share this script because that will really help you to distribute Bhagavad Gita to Western
Sure.
audience.
Thank you.
So with the Western audience, it's different, right? With the Western audience, the first thing we need to do is we need to qualify if this person can take the book or not. And how do we qualify that? The first thing we do is when you are on a book table or you're knocking the door and you're saying hi to that person, right? Let's suppose we are taking the scenario of we are on the street and someone is passing by and we say hi, and we are calling that person. And a lot of times you'll see people don't even look at you and they may go, right? And there can be people who may look at you, but they don't want to do anything with it and they'll say no, like this. And there can be people who may smile at you, right? There may be people who can come directly up to you and say, okay, what's going on, right? So there is a meter with which we can figure out where that person is that we are trying to approach. Is that person 1 or a 2? That means someone who doesn't even want to look at you is like a 1 or a 2, right? Someone who may just look at you, but he's trying to give you a signal, no, I'm not interested. He's also below 5. But there can be someone who's just looking at you, may not be smiling at you. He may be 5. There could be someone who's like smiles at you like this. He looks at you and he can relate with you and say, okay, he smiles at you. There are people who may just walk to your table right away, right? They are like 7 or 8. So there is always this gauge that we can figure out where that person is you're trying to approach. If that person is 5 or below, don't even bother. Don't even bother to approach him or give him the book. Because it's even the scriptures talk about this, that as a Madhyama Adhikari, one who is going out and distributing books is a Madhyama Adhikari, and he is not supposed to give books to envious people. So don't worry about them. Let's talk about 5.1 onwards. The people that you're waving them and they are showing some interest, right? The first thing we do, we ask them, we say, so like, for example, I can say, I'm from Alachua, Florida. Where are you from? One thing, very important thing is questions are the most important thing, but it's tricky in the sense that when you ask questions, don't ask questions that can lead to yes, no answer. And usually the answer will be no. And when the answer is no, then you don't have a chance to give them a book. Because if one person says one time he says no, then it's going to be very difficult to give them a book. So the first question you say, I am from St. Louis, Missouri. Where are you from? So I'm from Alachua, Florida. Where are you from? So Padmadisha Prabhu, I can ask you a question. So, okay, I'm from Alachua, Florida. Where are you from?
I'm from St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, great. I love St. Louis, Missouri. I think they have great food there. It's a very nice place to visit. I've been to St. Louis, Missouri many times myself. I love that place. Right.
Nice.
So what are we trying to do is trying to build a kind of a dialogue here, right?
Dialogue. Yeah.
There is no like yes, no kind of thing here, right? And the moment you say that and say, okay, so then the next thing you say is, okay, I'll say, I'm from Alachua, Florida, and here's from Alachua, Florida to St. Louis, Missouri. And you hand the book to that person. That person
Awesome.
takes the book,
Yeah.
right? Now the book is in his hands, right? And you're looking at this wonderful cover of this book, right? And you made a connection to that person, right? And then you can say, okay, this, you can also say, while you're handing the book, you can say, this book is about this. This is a book on yoga and meditation that helps you get free from stress. This book is about yoga and meditation that helps you get free from stress. And then you ask the question, have you heard of stress before? A second question, you're saying, have you heard of stress before? Most of the time people will say yes.
Yeah.
But then you say, the next thing you say is, but you don't look stressful. Don't mind me saying that, but you look spiritual. What is your secret? And what I'll do is I'll share the details of the script. So don't worry, you don't have to write it down. I'll share videos, scripts. I mean, again, there's so much already done on this. I'm just kind of a conduit, conduit, like someone who's passing all the knowledge, right? I'm not creating this, but I'm passing on to you all, right? So I'll share more details. So don't worry about writing it down. So then you say, okay, what is your secret? You don't mind me saying that, you look spiritual. What is your secret? Let that person explain. There can be people who may say, oh, I'm into meditation. There may be people who can say, I read a lot of books. There may be people who say, oh yeah, I just smoked pot. I just had weed. I have seen all kinds of people on the street, right? And you say, oh, that's your secret. And then you take the book from their hands. Okay, let me show you quick. You take the book from them again. So now the book came back to your hand. And then you say, let me show you quick. And then the first thing you do is go to the back of this cover and say, look at this book. This book is read by Henry David Thoreau, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., right? Beatles, all of them have read this book. And then you open the first page, on the first page, and say, this book is read in many different universities. Do you know about University of Southern California? And the other person will mostly say yes, right? Yeah. Do you know about Georgetown University? And say yes. This book is read in all those universities. And then you take the page, one of the pages, and show them the Sanskrit. This book was written in Sanskrit. This is one of the oldest languages in the world. And you show them, can you read? 99% of the time, or 99.99 or 100% of the time, they can't read. And you say, okay, I was just kidding with you. I mean, and this book is translated in English for you. Then you go to the changing bodies page. Again, this, especially for the hardbound Gitas, it's easier. For softbound, it's a little bit difficult to do this, but hardbound is much easier. So then you go to the changing bodies page, right? We all have seen this page. And you say, we start from here, right? And then we go all the way, and then eventually we all die, right? Where are you in this picture? You ask that question to the person. Say, where are you in this picture? And the person says, oh, I'm somewhere here, right? And you say, yeah, like I'm somewhere here as well, right? And then you go to the next page. And you say, a self-realized person sees everyone equally. Why? Because there is a spirit in all of us, right? You share that. And then you ask them another question. Again, there are multiple questions. The next question you ask them is, have you heard of karma before? So Prabhu, I'll ask you that question. Have you heard of karma before?
Yeah, karma. I heard of.
What is karma? What is karma?
Karma is something if I do and it comes back to me the way I act.
Mr. Prabhu, Mr. Prabhu, you're not Indian now.
Yeah, bro.
That's okay. That's okay. So
yeah.
He's introducing Western the audience. So you're not Indian.
Most of the Western people know about karma.
Right. That we experience from as well. Yeah.
They generally would say what goes around comes around, right? That's how they describe in their own words. But can you say that again, Prabhu? What you just said? What is karma?
Yeah, karma is the way I act. It comes back to me again. Like it depends on my. If I do good things, then good will happen to me. If I do bad things, the bad will happen to me. It's my
Wow, Prabhu. No, I shouldn't be saying Prabhu, but wow, what a great answer. If more people can think like you, world would be a better place. So what I just did, I acknowledged that your answer was awesome, right? Said, wow, what a great answer. If more people can think like you, world would be a better place. Right? So most of the time, the conversation we are having is a very light conversation. It's not intense. It should be humorous. It should be more like fun conversation, you know? And the moment I said that, then I would ask, okay, my name is Divya. What's your name? And you ask them the name and say, okay, what do you do for a living? So Prabhu, I'll ask you, what do you do for a living?
I do a private job in an organization, telecom organization.
A private job in a telecom organization. You know, this person used to do a private job in a telecom organization. This one. And then half of the people would laugh at this because they will understand the joke. And then some of them will say, really? And then you say, no, I'm just kidding. And then you end the conversation there and you say, okay, there you go. So here's the book. We are not asking for any donations. We are not asking, it's not like you're selling in a bookstore. We are asking for just a donation. And when you donate something, it helps you connect with the teachers who have dedicated their lives in spreading this knowledge. So you get more deeper into this knowledge when you donate something. And then you again hand it back to them, the book. And then they'll look at it, they may give you a donation. Sometimes they may say, oh, I don't have any cash. Oh, then you say, we don't take cash. We take Venmo, we take Cash App, we take credit card, we have Square, just name everything, right? You should have a response to everything. And then once they give you some money, and then you say, okay, do you believe in the power of the prayer? And sometimes they'll say yes, and say, okay, let me teach you a mantra. Sometimes they may say no, okay, then I'll still teach you a mantra. So in both cases, you teach them a mantra, and you say, okay, just repeat after me. And say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, and you give them a prasadam. Always keep prasadam with you. Whether you keep cookies or lollipops, you can offer lollipops and take it with you if it's easier for you. And always leave with a good impression. A lot of times you meet people who are not interested. Don't worry about them. Don't spend too much time on them. It's okay. It's totally fine. But always say thank you. Nice meeting you. Even if they say no, whoever I meet and they really are bad, like they had a bad behavior on me, I am like 10 times more nicer with those people and say, okay, thank you. Really nice to meet you. Because at the end of the day, there's one very important thing, and we'll end here, is book distribution. Let's suppose you gave a book to someone. The thing is, we should not think we are responsible for giving this book to this person. There may be 10 other devotees who may have approached him already. And now he has become a ripened fruit to give this book. Right? So every time that a devotee is meeting someone, that person, he is not taking the book. He's rejecting it. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And then on the 10th time, he met you and he took the book from you. So who's actually responsible for giving the book? All the 10 devotees who may have approached him before. And if we are leaving a good impression every time, then we are setting that stage for that person to take the book and transform their life and become Krishna conscious. So that is the key, is to always leave with a good impression. Don't run after people. Don't make it difficult for them. It's okay if they don't want to take the book. Just because you're meeting with them as a devotee, as we know in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, it says their devotional life begins just by meeting. So I'll stop here. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhu, for inviting me to this. And I'm happy to take more questions later on the WhatsApp or any other calls we can organize. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Sorry to go till 15 minutes more.
Thank you, Prabhu. Wherever we are, good round of applause for Divanand Prabhu for giving his time. Thank you so much. So I have taken the snap of this screen, and everybody who is on the call, I'm going to add you to our ISTL books distribution team. Divananda Prabhu is part of that team. So intent here is that many of us should take this service and please Divine Prabhupada. So I'll add you. And then if you have any personal questions that you'd like to get answered, please post that in the ISTL WhatsApp group so that everybody else can learn from it. Also, this is just the icebreaker. We just started here, and our plan is that we'll have few more sessions online like this, and then at some point I would like to invite Prabhu to come here and maybe go with us on Harinam or one of the spot, maybe at Forest Park, and practically show us how to do what he is just talking. So there are many follow-up sessions that are coming ahead, but I would like to see if there are any questions anybody would like to ask. I see Lal Gopal Prabhu has raised his hand. So Prabhu, yes, please go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hari
Hare,
Bol, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Divyan Prabhu. Thank you so much. Really
Krishna.
appreciate giving your time to our St. Louis congregation. It was very, very useful. I think your session will inspire a lot of us to take this serious service. Thank you. And please continue to help us. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. I see there are a few messages in the chat room here, and they're rephrasing the rules that you just went through. So anybody has, we can take maybe Prabhu 1 or 2 questions if it's okay with you.
Yes, sure, Prabhu.
Okay, so we'll just see if anybody has anything before we adjourn tonight.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I just have a. Go ahead, Prabhu. You go ahead. Hare Prabhu. Maybe I can talk after.
So Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dhanat Pranam. So my question is like, yeah, so I mean, so based on what I heard today, like most of the time, the book distribution involves a lot of talking and just reading the other persons and all, right? So like, I mean, so what suggestions that you may give, like for a person like me who is not socially active, or in a sense like not very communicative or socially active? So in that case, how best, I mean, at least a person like me can do the distribution? Like, I mean, so what are the suggestions that you may give, Prabhu, in that particular use case?
Yes, Prabhu. I think you should go and talk to my work people how I am outside of book distribution. It's totally opposite. And a lot of times we think that for book distribution we need to become like a like a salesperson, right? Who can talk a lot, who can really and with the script you may feel like that, but it's not really that. It's material principle doesn't apply in book distribution. It's like that's why the first law of book distribution is what is to keep our sadhana strong, right? So as long as we have the desire and we are keeping our sadhana strong, then Krishna will automatically help you in speaking what needs to be spoken for the person that you're talking to. So here's another thing. Like if I'm talking to 10 people on the street, with each person, Krishna will arrange me to speak in a way that applicable to them so that they can take the book. If they're supposed to take the book, then Krishna will inspire you from within to help you say things that you should be saying. And then in that case, it's not going to matter if you are extrovert or introvert, or you have a great communication skills or not. What would matter is our sincerity and our prayers that, okay, Krishna, I really want to help spreading this knowledge to follow my gurus and Srila Prabhupada to be able to give this book, because this is a service for me. And with that intention, if the right intention, right sadhana, right mood, and then in that point, it's not going to matter how your communication is. Are you good with sales or not? Materially, how good looking you are, or whatever. Like it's all those things will be out of window. So think that material things, like generally we say, right, there can never be material impediments in our bhakti. In the same way, Material things, keep this on the side and just focus on those things of intention and sadhana and our service attitude, and then it will help you tremendously in reaching out to more people. Yeah.
Thank you.
All
Thank
this also.
Thank you, Prabhu. So we can take last one.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So what you mentioned, the example is very nice, Prabhu. But for door to door, suppose if you knock the door, maybe whatever the dialogues we made, suppose for a Western, that is more like we've stopped person, right? So how we start for door to door, Prabhu?
Yeah, door to door, the first question I told you, right? The questions are the key. And the first question I would ask when you knock the door is, do you live here? And most of the time, then the answer is yes, I live here. And then you start your script. Sometimes we say, okay, we are the monks and we are in this area and we are here to show you books on yoga and meditation that helps you get free from stress. And it can start from there. So the script is pretty much the same. It's just we are applying different places at different things. So you can say, these are books on yoga and meditation that helps you get free from stress. We are in this area. We're there. I also generally sometimes say there are a lot of mental health issues going on all around the world. And we have some books on yoga and meditation, and we are here to show you those books. And you can start the conversation there. So these are some of the ways, and we can discuss more ways of doing that. But it all depends on when you're knocking the door, who you're talking to, and then you can mold your script and mold your kind of discussion that way. But generally, if you say, do you live here? And generally after that, you say, okay, these are the books on yoga and meditation. And then you can again do the same thing of handing them over to the book, taking the book, talking about the first page, the changing bodies, talking about universities, at the back of the page, back of the book. So all those things will still apply.
Thank you, Prabhu. So
Thank you.
right now it's 7:53.
Yes.
And I would like to have maybe in a month another session where we can continue building on our talk. And then whenever it works with you, maybe you can come here and we can do some hands-on with you, and you can practically show us how we can really expedite this service. Really appreciate your time being here. I see Rupa Vilas Prabhu has turned his camera on. So thank you. He has been posting and recording all the discussion that has been going, and I see that our chat room is very much.
I just wanted to thank Janand Prabhu.
Thank you.
Wonderful presentation, very inspiring, and definitely we need more and more inspiration, Prabhu. So thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for inviting me. You all are doing wonderful book distribution. I'm just becoming part of this team. That's what I love, is becoming part of the team and meeting so many devotees and getting their association. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much. बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सर्विस की जय, जीजी वांगे से प्रभुपाद की जय, हिज ग्रेस दिव्यानंद प्रभु की जय, असेंबल भक्त वृंद की जय. थैंक यू सो मच. हरे कृष्णा एवरीबॉडी. वंश कल्पातुर वैश्य कृपा सिंधु वे वैश पतितानां पावने वे वैष्णव नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. थैंक यू सो मच. संतोष यात्रा की जय. हरि बोल. दंडोत प्रणाम टू एवरीबॉडी. हरे कृष्णा.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat pranam.
हरे कृष्णा.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.